And today, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to integrate GPT-5 with n8n, and we're going to run some real tests to see just how much better this model actually is compared to what we have been using. We're talking about significantly fewer errors, way better instruction following, and pricing that's actually more affordable for most use cases. But first, let me just give you some context on what makes GPT-5 such a big deal. Well, OpenAI has released some pretty impressive benchmark results that show just how much of a leap this really is. On the SWE coding benchmark, GPT-5 scored 74.9%, which means it can correctly solve nearly 3 out of every 4 real-world programming problems pulled straight from GitHub repositories. Now compare that to GPT-4o, which was scoring around 50%. And you can see this is a massive improvement just from this alone. For mathematics, GPT-5 achieved 94.6 on the AIME 2025 competition without any tools. And when you give it access to Python, it hits 100%. The AIM is a serious mathematical competition, so having an AI that can actually solve nearly every problem correctly, it's really mind-blowing and great to see. But here's what really matters for our automation workflows. GPT-5 has 45% fewer factual errors compared to GPT-4o, and when it uses its thinking mode, it has 80% fewer hallucinations than previous reasoning models. So this means that you can actually trust it with important business processes instead of constantly fact-checking everything there is. Now, let's just talk about pricing because this is where it really is going to get a bit interesting. So GPT-5 costs about $1.25 per million input tokens, which is exactly half of what GPT-4o cost at $2.50 per million input tokens. Now, the output pricing stays the exact same at $10 per million tokens for both of these models. So this means that if you're doing workflows with lots of data analysis or document processing or research tasks, you're going to save significant money on the input side. Now, the mini and nano versions are even more affordable, as you can imagine. So GPT-5 mini is incredibly cheap for high volume, simple tasks. And if it performs anywhere near as well as GPT-4o mini, which has been my go-to model for basic automations, then switching to GPT-5 mini is going to be a no-brainer for a cost-conscious workflow. So here's what we are going to be covering today. First, I will show you the complete setup process for connecting GPT-5 to n8n step by step, and then we're going to do some real evaluations comparing GPT-5 to the previous models using actual n8n workflows, and we'll just see if these benchmark improvements actually translates to better real-world performance. After that, I'll just demonstrate GPT-5 handling some more complex multi-agentic workflows that would normally trip up other models. Finally, we will test prompt engineering and content generation just to see all of the quality improvements all firsthand, and I will break down the actual costs so that you know exactly what you're going to be getting yourself into. Let's jump right into it. Now, really quick, before we get into the step-by-step breakdown, I just wanted to mention that we have a completely free Skool community with over 10,500 members now, where it's a bunch of AI entrepreneurs, business owners looking to automate their own processes. And it's really just a great place to meet other AI enthusiasts and entrepreneurs, ask me questions directly, join competitions with rewards, and much, much more. So again, the link is down below in the description. I would really love to have you in there. So the first step is going to be getting your OpenAI API key set up properly. Now, this is really important to understand. Even if you're already paying for ChatGPT Plus, you still need to set up billing separately on the API platform. And these are completely different systems. So do not assume that your ChatGPT subscription covers API usage, because it doesn't. So what we have to do is head over to platform.openai.com, which is just different from the regular ChatGPT interface, as you will see. And once you are logged in, navigate to your dashboard and look for API keys on this left sidebar. You'll want to click on Create New Secret Key and just give it a descriptive name like n8n GPT-5 integration. I mean, my keys are all over the place. I have names for whatever, so whatever makes sense for your setup works. Copy that API key immediately because you will only see it once. If you lose it, you'll have to generate a new one, maybe delete the previous one. Now, go back into n8n, and when you are setting up an AI agent node or any OpenAI node, you'll just need to add your credentials. So what we will do is just click the plus icon next to the chat model, and we will scroll down until you find the OpenAI chat model. This will prompt you to create a new credential. So just paste that API key we just created, hit save, and you are now going to be connected to OpenAI's API infrastructure. So here is where it is going to get a bit exciting. So in this model dropdown, we can just type or scroll down to find GPT-5, and you should see all the new options available. So we have GPT-5, which is just the main model, GPT-5 Mini for cost-effective operations, GPT-5 Nano for even cheaper, simpler tasks, and GPT-5 Chat Latest, which is just optimized specifically for any conversational workflows. But now let me go ahead and just break down the pricing structure so that you can make really informed decisions about which model to be using. So the main GPT-5 model, this is going to cost about $1.25 per million input tokens. And as I mentioned before, $10 per million output tokens. So that input cost is literally half of what GPT-O is charging. So if you're processing lots of documents, analyzing data, or just doing very research heavy workflows, you are going to see immediate cost savings. Now, GPT-5 Mini, as you can imagine, it's going to be significantly cheaper for simpler tasks, although OpenAI hasn't released the exact pricing model for this thus far. But based on previous patterns, it should be a fraction of the main model cost while still delivering really exceptional performance for basic operations that we're going to be running. Now, for most automation workflows, I would just recommend starting with the main GPT-5 model to get the full benefit of those benchmark improvements that we were just talking about. But if you're doing high volume, simple tasks where cost is going to be a major factor for you, well, GPT-5 Mini is going to save you significant money while still delivering results that will likely exceed what we have been getting from these older models. All right, now here is where things are going to get really interesting if they haven't already. I've got two different workflows that we're going to test with GPT-5, and we'll just compare the results to what we've been getting with previous models. So the first workflow is this image generation setup that I have built. It's actually pretty elegant in its simplicity. So what we have is a chat trigger that just receives user input through a webhook. Then we have an AI agent just processes that input and creates detailed prompts for image generation. From there, what we have is an HTTP request that sends that prompt to OpenAI's image generation API using the GPT image 1. So what we have next is a convert to binary node, which is just going to process the response so that we can actually download this final image. So this workflow is going to be pretty perfect for testing prompt engineering capabilities because creating effective image prompts, it really requires understanding, user intent, adding technical photography specifications, balancing creative visions with practical constraints, and following prompt engineering best practices. So let me just go ahead and run the same test with all of this. We will just say with this input, create a professional business meeting scene in a modern office. So first, let's see what we get with GPT-4o, which is what I had configured in this workflow originally. The prompt it generated was a professional business meeting taking place in a modern office conference room with executives in business attire sitting around a conference table discussing documents and presentations. So that covers the basic requirements, but it lacks the technical depth and creative specificity that really makes image generation shine. But now I'm just going to switch into the OpenAI chat model to use GPT-5 instead of GPT-4o. So same workflow, same user input, but now we're just going to be powered by the latest model. So this prompt from GPT-5 is drastically different, which says professional corporate meeting in a sleek modern conference room with floor-to-ceiling glass windows, natural lighting streaming in, diverse group of 5 to 6 executives in contemporary business attire engaged in animated discussion around a minimalist white conference table, documents and tablets scattered naturally, subtle depth of field with 85mm lens perspective, warm color temperature. I'm not going to read the rest. So this difference, it's absolutely remarkable because GPT-5 includes environmental specifics like floor-to-ceiling windows and natural lighting. It adds technical camera details, including 85mm lens, depth of field, and rule of thirds composition. Now, this prompt, it specifies lighting requirements with warm color temperature and directional natural lighting. It also provides composition guidance with professional framing and high-resolution requirements. So even these small details like documents and tablets being scattered naturally, it just shows how much more thoughtful the output actually is. And when I generate both images, the results just speak for themselves. So the GPT-4o image, it shows a generic meeting room with adequate but unremarkable lighting and standard composition. On the other hand, GPT-5 generated image has professional corporate photography quality and exceptional lighting, engaging composition, and honestly just looks like something that you would see in a company's annual report. And this just demonstrates how GPT-5's improved instruction following and creative reasoning translates directly into better practical outputs. Now, let's test something that really pushes the boundaries of what these models can actually handle. So I have built this multi-agent article generation workflow that's absolutely perfect for demonstrating, at least in my opinion, for demonstrating GPT-5's reasoning capabilities because it involves multiple specialized agents all working together in sequence. So this isn't just one AI agent doing everything. It's actually 4 different agents, each with a very specific role in the content creation process. So we see here, we have agent 1, and this is the outline generator. So it uses advanced prompting techniques to create structured, original outlines based on the topic, tone, and target length specified by the user. Next up, what we have is the second agent, which is the content generator. So it takes each section from the outline and writes detailed research-backed content complete with proper citations and source links. Agent number 3, what we have is the SEO and polishing agent. This agent expands content to meet specific word targets while optimizing for search engines and adding research-backed examples on top of it. Agent number 4, this is the final editor agent. So this is where it just performs the final review, grammar checking, and ensures consistency across the entire piece. And what makes this workflow really particularly challenging is that it requires complex reasoning across multiple different steps, maintaining context between different agents, following detailed formatting requirements, and also producing professional quality output that is actually going to be ready for publication. And I am just going to run this workflow twice. So first with the current mixed model setup, then with the GPT-5 as the primary engine powering the core agents. And for the test, I am using the article topic, the future of AI automation in healthcare opportunities and challenges. This is going to have a professional, data-driven tone and medium length targeting 2,500 words. So the current workflow, we are using OpenRouter's GPT-4o for the outline generation and content creation, GPT-4o Mini for the content splitting task, and GPT-4o for SEO optimization and final editing. So running the original version, this took about 6 minutes and produced a comprehensive article. So the structure, it was solid, and the research integration, it's decent. But let's just see what happens when we upgrade the core agents all to the GPT-5. So now I'm just going to be switching agent 1, agent 2, and agent 4 to use GPT-5. So this means that outline generation is going to be powered by GPT-5's, I would say superior reasoning capabilities, and content generation. This is going to benefit from GPT-5's improved instruction following. Now the final editing, this is also going to leverage GPT-5's better context understanding across these longer documents. So the GPT-5 enhanced version, this took about 9 minutes, which is 50% longer, but the quality improvements are immediately obvious. So the outline sophistication is pretty remarkable. The GPT-5, it created a more nuanced structure with unique angles that completely avoid the typical 5 tips or whatever it is approach that most AI generated content really falls into. Now the research integration, this is significantly better. So each section now, it includes specific statistics, case studies, properly formatted citations that actually add value and some meat to the content. Now the content depth, this is substantially improved. So the 400-word sections from GPT-5, it feels more authoritative and includes better data backing for every claim that it has made. The SEO optimization, this feels more natural rather than forced, if you will. The keywords are integrated seamlessly without that robotic feeling that you often get from, AI optimized content. I'm sure all of you guys can relate that you've seen before. In the final editorial review, it caught subtle inconsistency and flow issues that the previous version has completely missed. All right, now let me just break down the real numbers from these tests because understanding the economics is pretty crucial for anyone building production workflows. So for the multi-agent article generator, the original workflow with mixed models, it costed approximately $1.30 for a 2,500 word article and took about 6 to 7 minutes of processing time. Whereas the GPT-5 enhanced workflow, this costed about $2.25 for the same 2,500 word article and took about 9 to 10 minutes of processing time. So What this is representing is about 73% higher cost and 50% longer processing time, but the content quality improvement absolutely justifies the additional expense for high value content creation. Now, for the image generation, the GPT-4 version, this costed roughly 8 cents per prompt generation plus the actual image generation costs, whereas GPT-5 version costs about 12 cents per prompt generation plus image costs. So that is only 50% higher for the prompt engineering portion, but the resulting image quality improvement, it's substantially enough to justify the cost for professional applications. Also, here is what I noticed about GPT-5's token usage patterns. It's more efficient at input processing, just meaning that it actually understands complex instructions with fewer clarification loops. The output generation, this produces more comprehensive content per request, typically 30 to 40% more tokens than any previous model. So the content retention, this is obviously dramatically better, maintaining context across these longer workflows with fewer repetitive instructions actually needed, which is pretty nice to have. So the increased token usage, this isn't a waste. It's delivering significantly more value per token through better comprehension and more detailed and useful outputs. And what I would say is really impressive is that these real-world results align perfectly with OpenAI's published benchmarks. And remember those numbers I mentioned earlier? The 74.9 on coding benchmarks, the 94.6 on math problems, and 45% fewer factual errors. Well, we are seeing exactly those kinds of improvements in our actual n8n workflows, which obviously we would hope to see. But the benchmark scores weren't just lab results. They translate directly into better performance in these practical applications that we are using. Now, after running these comprehensive tests, I can confidently say that GPT-5 represents a pretty major shift for anybody building automation workflows with n8n. So the reliability improvement, it's the biggest game changer. So that 45% reduction in factual errors, it just means that you can actually trust your automations to handle these important business processes without constantly checking if the AI fabricated any information. And the instruction following capability, it's dramatically better. So GPT-5 just understands complex and multi-step instructions just far more accurately than these previous models. So what this means is that significantly less prompt engineering for you and much more reliable workflow execution. Now the tool use improvement, it's also pretty remarkable. So the model, it's substantially better at chaining tool calls together without losing context or making these mistakes between switching different APIs and services. So for most use cases, the cost efficiency, it's actually better. And if your workflows involve significant data analysis or document processing or research tasks, you're going to save money with GPT-5 because of the reduced input costs. Now, even through our tests, these did show higher total costs due to more obviously comprehensive outputs. But remember that we're actually getting dramatically better quality. So when you do factor in the reduced error rates and less manual review needed, the total cost of ownership is often lower. Now, the unified intelligence approach, this just means that you do not need to choose between speed and capability anymore. So GPT-5, it automatically scales its reasoning just based on task complexity, giving you the best of both worlds. So this is honestly huge because with previous models, you had to choose between fast and basic responses or slow but detailed analysis. Now, really quick before we dive into migration strategies, I just want to again mention something for you, those of you who are just really serious about mastering this stuff. So I have a free community called AI Automation Agency Accelerator, where we have over 10,000 members. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, just where we're building everything from simple email automations to complex multi-agent systems like what we've just tested. The community includes a full classroom section with structured courses that walk you through building these workflows step by step. We do live workshops where we build automations together and just troubleshoot any issues that come up. Honestly, it's some of the most helpful people that you will find anywhere in the AI space, and everyone's just super focused on practical implementations that actually work in real businesses. So if you want to dive deeper into building workflows like the ones that we have tested today, or if you just want to share your own GPT-5 experiments with people who actually understand what you are working on, definitely check out the link in the description to join us. It's completely free and you will get access to all of the templates and guides for the workflows that we have built from previous videos. All right, now here's my honest recommendation for migrating your current n8n workflows to GPT-5. So for immediate switches, just start with any new workflows that you're building. There's no reason to use GPT-5 from day one. High stakes automations, they should be prioritized for migration because the improved accuracy provide significant value. Now, complex multi-tool workflows, these benefit obviously enormously from GPT-5's better context management. So for testing first, just always test production workflows in a staging environment before actually making the switch. These high volume automations, they need cost analysis to understand financial implications. So with custom prompts, you might need to tweak some things just to get optimal performance with GPT-5's different reasoning patterns. So just consider GPT-5 Mini for simpler tasks like data formatting or basic email responses, or simple API calls and content categorization. And for these use cases, for GPT-5 Mini, it does deliver excellent results while keeping costs extremely low, which is obviously what we all want. Now, here's some tips just for getting maximum value for GPT-5 in your n8n workflows. So GPT-5, it supports a new verbosity parameter in the API. So you can set it to low for concise responses or even high for detailed explanations, just depending on your workflow requirements. You can also control how much thinking GPT-5 is going to do using the reasoning effort parameter. And for simpler tasks, you can set reasoning efforts to minimal for faster responses, or for complex problems, you can just let it use reasoning capabilities. Now, GPT-5, it's significantly better at parallel tool calls. So you can now just reliably run multiple API calls simultaneously without losing accuracy or any context. So the improved context handling, this just means that you can build workflows that maintain state across much longer conversations and much more complex interactions. And now let me just give you some concrete examples of how GPT-5 integration could impact actual business workflows. So we could imagine a customer service workflow that previously had a 20% error rate with GPT-4o, and this might drop to 11% with GPT-5. And that's the difference between having to manually review every response and being able to trust the automation for most interactions. Or maybe for marketing teams, these people can now automate more sophisticated content creation workflows because GPT-5, it maintains quality and consistency across longer, more complex pieces. And with research and analysis workflows, these become dramatically more reliable because GPT-5 is less likely to misinterpret data or make factual errors in its conclusions. For sales automation workflows, these can be more nuanced because GPT-5 has better understanding of context and it can handle more sophisticated lead qualifications and follow-up scenarios. Now, I did just want to mention that if you are a business owner looking to implement AI solutions to completely transform your business and increase your bottom line, then check out the link down below in the description where you can schedule in a call with our team to learn more about how we can help. We've worked with over 20 companies now, implementing a range of different solutions to solve for their pain points and take them from 0 to 100. But anyways, let's get back into the video. So since GPT-5 is just launched, you might encounter a few issues or common issues that I want to help you troubleshoot. So the rate limiting, this is going to be more common initially as everyone tests these new models. So just try building retry logic into your workflows to handle temporary unavailability. Now, the response times, these might be lower first just due to higher demand. So just consider using GPT-5 Mini for time-sensitive automations where speed is actually critical. Now, the token usage, it will likely be higher because GPT-5 does generate more detailed outputs. So just monitor your costs carefully and adjust prompts if you do or if needed to control the verbosity. In model availability, this just might be a bit inconsistent during the peak usage, so just make sure that your workflows can fall back to GPT-4o automatically if 5 is temporarily unavailable. But moving forward, based on the GPT-5 announcement and current industry trends, here's what I expect we will see in the coming months. So n8n, they will likely add native support for GPT-5's new parameters like verbosity control and reasoning effort adjustment. We'll probably see pre-built workflow templates just optimized specifically for GPT-5's capabilities. Now, the better cost optimization tools, these will emerge for monitoring and optimizing AI expenses just across complex automation workflows. And with 5's improved reasoning, we will see more sophisticated AI agents. They can handle longer, more complex tasks all autonomously. So this integration between n8n and 5, it represents really a significant leap forward in what's possible with these automation workflows. So in conclusion, this combination of improved accuracy, better instruction following, superior tool use, and competitive pricing, it makes this an obvious upgrade for most workflows. But here's what I recommend you do immediately. Just get your API access set up if you haven't already. Just pick one simple workflow and just run direct comparisons between 5 and your current models. Use n8n's evaluation features just to get concrete performance data so that you can make informed decisions. Then from there, you can scale gradually once you are confident in the results. So start migrating more complex workflows after you have validated the approach. Maybe monitor costs carefully as you scale up just to understand the financial implications. Now, this AI automation landscape, it really just received a major upgrade, and the teams that adapt quickly, they're going to have a significant competitive advantage over those that stick with these older models. But in any case, that wraps up this comprehensive look at 5 and n8n integration. So if this did help you understand how to leverage this new technology, just please make sure to hit that like button. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a comment down below. It really helps me out. But in any case, if you guys are interested in more videos like this or a more comprehensive guide, check out my free school community. Link is down below in the description for that. Check out my previous videos or anything else. Let me know what you guys would like to see in the future. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, for sticking around, and I will see you guys in the next video.